I miss the days where you could watch a Disney program that came on of Lizzie McGuire and not have to watch a cartoon of Baymax, which is geared to a very young audience, talking to people about tampons. I feel conflicted about going back to Disney World. I feel conflicted about Disney World in itself as a company and kind of what they're standing for right now. I literally grew up on Disney. I grew up in Miami. They used to be about creating content that was family content, bringing everyone together. I think it was like the 7 o'clock movie on a Friday night. They have completely changed from a model of creating content, entertainment-driven content, to honestly, quite frankly, very politically driven content. When Bob Iger was asked about this in a panel type interview where he was asked recently, how do you feel about some of the political agenda oriented content that Disney is putting out? He kind of came back with a very typical tactic in gaslighting, which is to twist it around and say, what we're doing is not political, it's just what we believe is moral. So he's twisting the concept that we're not talking about political statements anymore, even though you could very clearly see political statements, and we're just talking about what is morally right. Again, I've talked about in the past that when we switched over from Bob Chapek, who was honestly probably actually better for the Disney company than Bob Iger, I really feel that one of the reasons people were really into the idea of having Bob Iger come back is, quite frankly, I think a lot of the older women had a crush on him. I think that they saw him as this distinguished George Clooney, James Bond type, that he dressed very nicely, and you would have a lot of the older women, especially that are Disney vloggers or content creators, they would make comments like, he's so handsome, he dresses so nice, he has such a nice cardigan. Yeah, because that's what a $5,000 outfit looks like, and not your $70 overpriced Disney Spirit jersey that falls apart in the first day. And I think a lot of the older ladies out there liked the way he looked, and quite frankly, a lot of the men out there also probably wanted to be him. The generation of Disney, which was known as the golden era under leadership like Michael Eisner, that leadership is gone. That's not what you have at Disney anymore, and that's not what Bob Iger is about. When I say, or others say, they have a political agenda or they have different agendas that they are preaching as a company, as one of the largest media companies in the world, remember that, in terms of their influence. That is not me purely saying that for me or other people who say that. They have themselves been recorded. There have been videos of these leaders within a Disney company stating, in quote, their not so secret agenda. They have been very, very blunt about it. That's coming from them, not from me. I miss the days where you could watch a Disney program that came on of Lizzie McGuire and those types of movies that came on to Disney Channel and not have to watch a cartoon of Baymax, which is geared to a very young audience, talking to people about tampons. I don't ever remember watching that type of content with Disney ever. I think the most controversial it got, maybe there was a Disney Channel sitcom, and I want to say it was Lizzie McGuire, where she was shopping for her first bra with her mom. I think that was as controversial as it got. And then you had these very wholesome shows like Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World was a big one that I grew up on, which had a lot of life lessons. And quite frankly, Boy Meets World was still, I feel, geared towards an older audience. It wasn't assumed that it was a super young audience that was watching Boy Meets World. But, Boy Meets World went over different subjects that were more what people go through as they grow up. And there were episodes that were more sensitive, but generally it was a very, just a show about growing up. You've gone from content that I grew up on, like Lizzie McGuire, and now you're watching Baymax talk about tampons. And a lot of people will come back in the comments and they'll be like, well, these are subjects that should be talked about more so that things are not stigmatized and blah, blah, blah. That's a parent's job. It's a parent's job to talk about those issues with their family on their own terms. And Disney needs to realize you are an entertainment company. You're not adopting all these people. So I'm not thrilled with a lot of the agendas that I do feel Disney is putting out there. You know, I'm not going to get into everything right now that makes me uncomfortable about them, but there are things that they are promoting and things that I'm seeing them do that certainly have steered away from the concept of just creating entertainment content for a general audience. And quite frankly, they are separating people and stigmatizing people and alienating people, which should not be the job of a company. The job of a company should be, honestly, to make as much money as possible and not to have it where you're separating a large part of your audience. And to this day, a very large part of people who go to Disney World, and this is not an insult, are very blue-collar people. When you go to the parking lot of a Disney resort, you'll see a lot of Florida tags, you'll see Virginia tags, North Carolina, South Carolina. You get a lot of people, Louisiana, Georgia, all the people that are kind of like from the southern area of the United States. That is a huge part of the audience that will come to Disney World and spend money there. And these are blue-collar workers. That's not an insult, it's just a reality, that charge up their credit cards to take their family to Disney World. I think a lot of these people, you say like, well, Disney is packed and people are getting in the parks, which is true. And I think that, quite frankly, a lot of people are trauma bonded. I think that's the answer if you want to be like, well, why is it so packed then? Trauma bonding. A lot of people are trauma bonded to the concept of going to Disney. Their family are screaming they want to go to the park and they don't want to disappoint them. The same way they didn't want to disappoint them where they were charging up their credit cards to go to Disney when they couldn't afford it. The family member screaming, I want to go, and they charge up their credit cards to go, and the same way now they go there. But I do think it's going to get to a point at Disney where you're starting to see things in the park from main characters that are being shown to you in an alternative way. And I think that that's when family members are going to start to say, I don't know if I want my younger family members to be exposed to this at this age. There is a lot with Disney that I do feel very troubled with, and I feel very, in a sense, also trauma bonded. I want it to go back to what it was, and they are using a lot. You have to remember with these people like Bob Iger, these are very educated people in formal education, and they are very savvy when it comes to the years of, I would call it, brutal business experience that they've had over the years. These are not Mickey Mouse business personalities. These are hardcore business executives that prioritize the money over people's opinions. And in a sense, you're like, oh, well, people are going there, whether you like it or not. You know, I could say as someone who's worked in the entertainment industry, and I don't mean YouTube. I've worked on film sets and TV sets. I've been in the actual entertainment industry. The media tells you what to like. You may not like that thought process and think that you're like, you have an opinion and I would never be, manipulated, but media tells you who is famous. The media will expose you to certain people and make them famous and make them all you see in social media. The media tells you what to like and you are affected by that. The Disney I knew growing up is gone. I mean, you go on Disney Plus and now you're getting warnings before you watch Aladdin and other classic Disney movies that we apologize for this movie and it's insensitive and that's just absolutely ridiculous. And quite frankly, I canceled my Disney Plus a long time ago because number one, I didn't feel like they had any good content. All their content seemed very politically driven. I remember I turned on their remake of the movie Cheaper by the Dozen on Disney Plus back when I had it. And within the first, I would say, couple minutes of the movie, there were politically driven concepts involving the house and different things that were displayed in the windows of the family members. And it was like, as soon as I saw that, it's like, not watching this, sorry. I canceled Disney Plus. I actually have Peacock now. I've been watching like trash reality television. I'm gonna be the first to say it's trash. People would be like, well, why are you watching trash reality television? Well, to be fair, when you watch the trash reality television, there's like warnings that come up on it as to what the audience is rated. Obviously, that's something that's not occurring with Disney, with some of these politically driven cartoons that I think should not be displayed to that type of audience. So, and you know what you get. You're watching Housewives, Vanderpump, all that stuff. You know what you're getting. You're watching people who are drunk and screaming at each other. That's the concept of reality television. But the difference of what Disney is doing is they're taking content that is controversial and showing that controversial material to audiences that are very, very young. That's where it becomes a different story. You can say I shouldn't be watching trash reality television, but what they're doing is totally different because when it involves that audience level, that's where I started to feel kind of icky about what they're doing. You know, the difference between my content and saying Disney should keep it neutral, playing ground for audiences, that's a YouTube channel. And I am a controversial channel, and I am a channel that critiques things, and I'm outspoken, but this is YouTube. This is not, I am not Disney or Nickelodeon that knows that I have to gear content for a certain age range or types of content that should be family appropriate. I think that Disney right now is breadcrumbing their audience. That's another psychological tactic they're using. While it is appreciated that they have removed the cost of parking at their resorts, they're breadcrumbing you. Breadcrumbing is a technique where you're given little specks of kind of like intermittent feel-good moments when the bigger picture is being overlooked. They are still doing what they're doing. They're giving you these little breadcrumbs where they're making their audience happier in certain elements. Oh yeah, it's a drop cheaper to go there now. But the experience is the same. The experience is the same. And there's a lot of issues going on at Disney. The room inspections, which I'm going to do another video on, the dress coding, which quite frankly is to be able to appease their very overweight majority customer that's going to Disney World. The truth is, if you got someone at Disney World that's 600 pounds in a motorized scooter, they don't want to look at the girl that's dressed like Britney Spears in the tube top. It doesn't really, at the end of the day, have to do with the fact that she's wearing a tube top. It has to do with that 600-pound person that's on the motorized scooter is going to be annoyed looking at the girl with the tube top, and then that motorized person on the scooter may not want to eat as much. Sometimes the truth stings. Sorry. Sometimes the truth stings, and that's the reality. There's going to be people who agree with me. There's going to be people that don't. I have a huge amount of comments that are actually coming from Universal employees and Disney employees. How do I know that? Because I've actually Googled a lot of their names, especially with the Universal vlogs that I'm putting out controversial content. And I'm actually having Universal Studios employees, hi guys, seriously, have like an alias username or something, because you're commenting on my videos, and some of you have like your full names or at least your first name, and then the specific things you're saying, you type your name into with the resort, and I can see that you work for Universal. My God, please guys, if you're gonna try to comment on my videos, guys, from Universal, at least create an alias username. Okay, you're commenting on my videos and you're telling me you work there. Another thing you're doing is you're telling me you work there. Some of you have actually told me that. You've been like, I work for Universal Studios, and I do not agree. It's like, you're not even making a good case for yourself. Do better. I feel very conflicted about going back to Disney World. I have like kind of a preliminary reservation that I'm playing around with for the summertime at Disney, and I just don't know what to do. I feel at times very actually morally against going to Disney, but at the same time I don't want to alienate myself from being able to go to a theme park, and I just have to honestly give it a lot of thought as to how I personally feel about all the things they're doing, how I can go to Disney. Can I go to a resort at Disney and do a staycation but then not go to the parks, or is that not okay because then I'm giving them money? It's just like all these thoughts that I have to come to terms with and figure out what is the correct decision for me. But I am glad that I am sharing with you guys my honest opinions, because this is truly how I feel. You know, like I've said in the past, a great amount of your Disney vloggers are not giving you the most factual information because, quite frankly, they're on the dime or they're looking for incentives. And quite frankly, you know, you have a lot of your Disney vloggers, they're not who you think they are. You got 2-3 Disney vloggers specifically out there that they got records, and they probably shouldn't be in a family theme park. And I don't mean like oh, parking ticket record. They got records. You've got 2-3 Disney vloggers primarily out there that have totally fake names. They're not telling you who they are, and I'm not talking about a nickname like oh, your name is Cecilia and you go by Cece. I'm talking about they got fake names, like first and last names, and you got like 2 of them that are at that level. There's another one that does theme park content. They got a record. I don't think people even know about that, but it's not that hard to find. When you Google, this stuff comes up. I'm from Miami. I know how to Google. Sorry. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. I'm always going to tell you my honest opinion, the good and the bad. As this is called, this is Nicole Approves. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. Sorry if that you the wrong way, but I don't care. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon in my next video, and bye.